Greg, how are you?
Terrific.
Awesome.
See you, Tom.
Good. So we are here at Quantum Workplace. Greg Harris is the CEO of this amazing company. Obviously, I'm Todd Smith, CEO of Symphony Workforce, also Discover Your Genius. We are going to sit here and talk about why you, right? Why did you decide to come on board with us to challenge these young people all over the globe? And then also tell us about Quantum Workplace.
Absolutely. In that order, should we go in
Yes,
that order?
absolutely.
This is a timely challenge for us. We firmly believe, and we've believed this for several years, that the future of the workplace is here. And it just so happens to be at this point, at this time, with all of the adversity that the globe has had this year, it has accelerated what was probably previously 10 years of change. We know that the future of workplace is digital. We know that the future of the workplace is dispersed across the globe. We know that the future of the workplace is feedback rich. It is there is a direct line between individual and team objectives and goals where performance is very measurable. You know, where employees of any everyday company have data available to them the same way professional athletes know what their shooting percents and their statistics are. And so that's the change that our company has been shepherding for the last 18 years. It just so happens to be that the acceleration of that change has happened. We've been forced in a work from home environment to accelerate that change in the last 6 months. But the better we get at working remote and equipping companies, equipping schools to learn remote, the more we realize, or the more we fear that there may be trade-offs, that the better we get at actually completing tasks remote is one thing, but is there anything that we're not doing effectively? Is there anything we lose? Is the interpersonal trust that we have that drives, that propels leadership? Is the innovation, is the creation of ideas just as sharp in a virtual world as it is with whiteboards and face-to-face? Those are the problems we want to solve for, and there's no better universe of talent to ask those questions of than our youth, the people that grew up as digital natives, that grew up communicating, where, you know, the point, I know with my own kids, there are times when they will choose electronic communication and socializing over getting face-to-face with friends. So that's what we're here for. We want to crowdsource some ideas around solving that very important issue.
Remember, you know, I'm 48 years old, right? I believe you're 45.
45, yeah.
When we grew up, we were in this world where there was a news that came on at 5.
Yeah.
And the whole world waited for that to come around every day. There were actually newspapers that hit your desk, and you were actually reading that same news at 3 o'clock as though it was new news. Yeah. Right? Compared to this group today that has, to your point, data at its thumbs. Everything they want at their thumbs, right? So how do you, as a CEO, as a leader in society, as a husband, as a father, kind of compute this world of what's more valuable? Is it the data which we cry for, or is it how people think about data that is more important in terms of employees, in terms of people? Can you speak into that a little bit?
Absolutely. As with work from home and technology, there are trade-offs with real-time information and the abundance of information that we have. 25 years ago, we had to wait for information, and the information that we got was probably dated. Yet at the same time, it was filtered through multiple rounds of editors, multiple rounds of fact checkers in a 24/7, 365 information overload society. Speed, if speed was what we were trying to solve for, check the box.
Right.
We're there.
Right.
I don't know how information gets any faster than it is today. However, with speed comes quality issues. It's microwave versus oven. We can cook our food, but not all food cooked in the microwave. With speed, as the value is better, and so the filters that we have to build, even as we're researching our own ideas, as we are learning, as we are socializing, becomes that much trickier. And I think we see that in an online world right now. We wonder why there's more polarization. We wonder why there's more anger in our society right now. And it could very well be that the distance between event and opinion is shorter
Absolutely.
today, and the process whereby we go through filtering and deciphering information is crunched down to the point where we might react to things today before we really know what the facts are.
Couldn't agree with you more on the distance between, right? Do I read the headline, right, and then make my decision, or do I read the headline and then read the story, and then research the story, right? So this new wave of young person coming in, right? So sub-24s. When you think about, hey, there are these next 4 positions that we're going to have here at Quantum Workplace that are really vital. You're thinking about those traits that you want to see in those hires. What are some of those? What are some of the things that you want core to the people who come work at this amazing company?
Yeah, I think there's one theme. So there's probably 3 or 4 different roles, but there's one theme across all of them, and it is the ability to analyze data. When we were in school, data was its own sort of narrow field. Maybe you were in physics, maybe you were a mathematics major. Our marketing team might be one of the savviest data analyzers that we have in our company. Marketing today is not what it was 25 years ago, which is design and pretty pictures and communicating that in a print ad.
Right.
Today it is understanding clicks and being able to correlate number of clicks with the path of a prospect or a customer and how many clicks it takes to get them to take an action that you want, and it's a statistics game more than it's anything else. So I think the most important component that goes across all of those is probably the ability to analyze data. It's not just a mathematical skill, it's the ability to creatively think what math is important.
Right.
What connection, what behavior do we want in the prospect? What behavior do we want in the employee? We're in the employee engagement, employee performance space. So we have to ask managers, what performance do you want from individuals and teams? What are the inputs? What are the outputs? Because we can build incentives around the outputs, and we can build recognition around the inputs, but we have to know what those outputs are.
Right. We have, it's funny you mentioned marketing, we have, we thought about hiring different firms at our company, and we settled on, and it was just a really big gift from God to us, that we have a 17-year-old out of Westside High School. We have a recent graduate, meaning just graduated this last year, out of Battle Creek, who'll be going into the Air Force. And they have taken our marketing and run it through the roof in ways that we never would have thought of as 40-year-old men, and able to speak to the generation we needed to speak to in ways that, we'll come up with these amazing ideas and we'll shoot them to them and go, hey, what do you think of this? I've been thinking about this for 14 hours. And they just kind of go, hey, listen. Can you sit back in that lazy boy, let us figure this thing out for you. And they're brilliant.
Yeah.
And the thing that we always preach, and I'm sure you do it here with your employees, is we try to preach a fearless mentality with a high ethical code. Right? I want you to get on the edge of making mistakes, but I want you to have a personal accountability in a high ethical code that the mistake is never, if it doesn't go the way you want, it was never meant out of malice.
Yeah.
Right?
That's good. I saw that last night. I'm taking my car through a car wash, and I had just canceled one membership car wash and was starting at a different one. And I'll call him a kid that I was talking to out of my window, is explaining the options, and all of a sudden I ask him one question, and then I find out he's the manager of this facility, and not only is he the manager of this facility, but he was transferred from a manager of another facility to kind of launch this new facility. And then he's talking about the parent company acquiring another chain of car washes and the margin expansion that they're going to have as a result of that, and the competitive advantages that they have over another competing car wash. And I'm like, this kid looks young. Who is this kid? He's some prodigy. I say, did you go to school? Did you finish your degree, your college degree here? He says, no, I actually just graduated from Papillion La Vista just recently, and I plan to start school at Metro in such and such. I'm like, wait a minute, you're 18 years old.
Right.
You've had 3 different rotations as a manager. He has an entrepreneurial mind. This is a very rare. It seems very rare. It would have been rare when we were coming out of school. But this is the mindset. That's probably the second thing. So data analytics was the first thing I would point to, but just an entrepreneurial understanding of how the economy works and how opportunities are created, how opportunities are seized, and that was exciting for me.
Right.
Just to see this 18-year-old out there understanding and asking questions and not being a know-it-all, but
the depth,
chasing.
the depth,
Yes.
vastly different than what we would have been at 18. Asked that same question.
Yeah.
We we talked to a myriad of students, and one of the questions we have in one of the assessments, so that when you're in our platform, we're always trying to get students and participants more knowledge about themselves. Is how much debt are you willing to take on to become deeper?
Yeah.
Like the young man that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And we're finding out more kids are saying, more young people are saying, the 4-year degree in its classic traditional sense that you all went through that said, hey, if you get this 4-year degree, it guarantees you this outcome on the back end. More kids are saying, hold on for a second, why don't I go to a metro? Why don't I go to a community college and then transfer to a 4-year if necessary, right? As that being my graduate degree, where that spend is returned in a way, and I'm collecting the experiences. So your commentary around the rotations that young man has had, more people having those along the way, right? And so as you're talking through those components of what you're looking for here, are you seeing more of that in the young people who you interact with?
We're seeing more of it. We see more of it show up with artifacts of travel also. We're interviewing 22, 23-year-old talent that has already traveled internationally, that already has several stamps on their passport, and they already have a view of the world that is much more global than the us versus them that I remember us thinking about and celebrating back in the 90s. So, and they also are so much more resourceful. I think about college. For me, I loved college. It was, as most people say, those 4 years were some of the best years that we had. I look back now at the Intro to Theater course that I took. I never wanted to major in theater. I never really wanted to be on stage, but I loved the theater. And I think part of that came from my Intro to Theater course. I love Shakespeare today because I took a Shakespeare course my sophomore year in college. Now, would I love Shakespeare today if I had never had that Intro to Shakespeare course? Maybe not, but our young people have the world is one Google thread away from that level of discovery.
Right.
We may not need the $30,000 a year curated discovery package that we're delivering our education in now. So we do see more. We see it in how quick we can access the things that we're curious about, and how quickly we are to see the world and even want to have a curiosity for the world and travel the world. If today you want to go to Italy and study culture there, that's a $600 plane ticket, whereas it might have been a $2,500 plane ticket 25 years ago.
Right, and one of the things that we always say, we no longer churn butter in a bucket.
Yeah.
There's a better way to make butter. So if you and I are sitting down and we're sitting across from the U.S. Chamber, and they say, Todd, tell me about this amazing business, and I go, I don't have to. Greg Harris is here as the CEO. What's the elevator version of who you are, but who you're also striving to be as a company?
Yeah, that's great. Quantum Workplace is a software firm that works with organizations to create feedback loops for engagement and performance. We are, think of the surveys that we get to understand the trust level that we have with our manager, to understand the confidence that we have in the future of our organization. We are a software and employee experience layer between senior leaders and managers and employees. So that comes in the form of performance evaluations, of employee surveys, pulse surveys, exit reviews, 360 feedback. Human resource departments use our platform to have this type of feedback in one place so that we are as smart as we can be about what attracts and what retains the talent that we need, what's working, what's not working in our management. That's the product that we have. That's what we have been building for 18 years now, and the future of Quantum Workplace is doing that for hundreds and hundreds of more organizations. 25 years ago, our industry really didn't exist. The idea of HR technology, the idea that we could quantify the effectiveness of a manager, that was a number, was less developed 25 years ago. Everything was very subjective. We promoted people kind of based on feel and gut.
Right.
And I'm not saying we don't do that today, but we don't have to do that
Gotcha.
today. So that's what we do, and we want to do that because we have standardized the tools, the assessments, the software that drives these types of assessments. We want to do that for a global economy.
Well, I tell you what, this is one heck of a company. We appreciate your friendship. We appreciate you as a leader. I think that the more young people that can be around leaders like yourself, right, that have your kind of vision on how you make your way through the journey, we'd be better off, right? So we hope a lot of the young people are going to get a chance to come out and take your challenges, get a chance to come do some type of virtual internship at some point. But we really appreciate you in this COVID world. We'll fist bump it out.
There we go.
We appreciate you. Everyone take care. Once again, Todd Smith, CEO of Simply Workforce, Greg Harris, CEO of Quantum Workplace. We'll take care of yourself.